Hi, welcome back to our Sproutable Q&A. We get a lot of questions from parents about how to navigate friendships with their children, whether they're in conflict with a particular friend, or even just like how to talk about friendships in general. And I always say it helps to start early, to start with your toddlers and preschoolers using the same kind of language. And then things start to really heat up when they get into elementary school and they start to navigate the nuances of particular friendships. It starts to feel personal. So the first language that I like to use with kids is, instead of saying their best friend or I hate them or they're my bestie, to really just use the languaging around connected or disconnected. So you get to model this, and also when they talk about friends, use it in context. So you might say, oh, it seems like you're really connected right now. Or if they say, oh, we don't play anymore together, or yeah, it's weird I didn't get invited over for the sleepover, you can say, oh, it seems like you're really disconnected right now, as opposed to I hate her, or she's my bestie, or now she's not anymore. You know, these real polarities or the binary. So using this language around being connected and disconnected. And then you can start to tease apart different aspects that make us connected or disconnected. Sometimes it's as simple as we ride the same bus in the morning together, or we're in the same class, or we were on the same soccer team, or we were totally obsessed with Star Wars for a year and now we're not. And so we don't have the same interests necessarily. And I think when we start to allow our kids those kinds of nuances within friendships, then we start to realize it was the same for us too. You know, we try to simplify it for kids like, oh, well, just don't hang out with them. Or, what do you mean you love them? Just get along. When we reflect on our own friendships growing up, they're complicated. You know, they require a lot of skills. Intuition, vulnerability, communication, boundaries, problem solving, our own sense of self, our own confidence, our own ability to discern what is it that we want within a relationship. So for us to expect our young children to automatically have these skills, these are high-level things. So reflecting back on our own sort of capacity, our own skill building, our own relationships, you know, our own journey around friendships can help us as we navigate supporting our young children too. And then for my students or for my children, when they really were having an issue with a particular child, I love to use this model of a roller coaster. And I learned this years ago from Peggy Rumitz-Ellis, who is a school counselor, and I met her at the American School Counseling Association conference here. And she uses this model that shows a timeline of just one horizontal line and then a roller coaster like curve that goes above the line and below the line. And walking through with your child about this particular friendship, what were the times when you were connected? What are the times when you were disconnected? And then what caused those ruptures or those reconnections? You know, what was the big fight? What caused the big fight? Or what was the time that you really met and got so close? You know, what were the aspects around that? And then you can use that model to teach your child and also just reflect and process with them how in friendships, we don't want to be on big roller coasters all the time. You just can't sustain that. You can't sustain the high highs and the low lows. And that all friendships are going to have some bumps, right? We're going to have the little highs, you know, and the little lows, but we don't want those big dips all the time. And so for kids to see that visually can be really helpful for them to decide if this is a friendship worth, you know, reconnecting, worth working on that reconnection. And then also just reflecting, it helps for them to maybe see, maybe this isn't a good friend. And this is another aspect of the way that I talk to kids about friendships, which is what makes a good friend, you know? And not just the pieces around maybe having some things in common, but really how do they make you feel? So really helping our kids at these young ages start to think about that for themselves. How do they feel? Do they feel happy? Do they have fun? You know, are they able to share things about their lives with this friend without feeling like it's going to be told to other people or be retaliated? So really moving the needle, whether you have, you know, preschooler all the way up to your older elementary school ages, you can use those kinds of reflective questions to really ask them, how they feel around that particular friend. And ultimately, we get to choose wisely, as my mother says, choose wisely, and we get that choice. We are not bound to have to be friends with a particular, person. I would tell my students, we are cordial, we're respectful, of course, but you don't have to be deeply connected with every single person. You don't have to be friends with every person in your class. And as a parent, I also, especially in these early years, the kindergarten, first grade, preschool years, if there's a particular kiddo that is not treating your child well, they are making them feel bad about themselves, they are putting them down, you get to decide that as a parent. This is not a friendship that I have to nurture either. So you also get to model that discernment and some of those decisions while you're also guiding them to be reflective too. Ultimately, relationships and friendships require practice and skill building. So as parents, we can do that for them. We can help them through role playing, through actual practicing, giving them the script, helping them workshop different lines to try, and helping them look for other things to do at school, not just who not to hang out with, but what are the things they want to play at recess? Well, then go play it and you'll find your people there. So guiding them in that way too, where do they want to play, and then practicing with them those different scenarios, because it will help them in the moment to have had that sort of muscle memory and actual role play practice so they feel more confident when they're at school, either approaching that friend or trying to find that other activity to do to find more friends. So thank you so much for writing in, sending us your questions. We'd love to help. Come find us over at besproutable.com, and we'll see you soon. Real moments are learning moments.